This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePay Resources. Welcome to the Payment Space.
I'm pleased to welcome Bridget Hall, leader of real-time payments in the Americas at ACI, to the Payments Podcast, brought to you by ePay Resources. This is being recorded live at Nacha's Smarter, Faster Payments 2024, and I'm your guest host, Peter Davey, the Payments Jedi. First off, Bridget, welcome to the show, and congratulations on being a finalist of the inaugural 15 Under 40 for Nacha.
Thank you. I was really excited to be nominated and selected for part of the 15. Really a huge honor, and certainly good to collaborate with colleagues on the next generation of payments nerds.
That's awesome. So let our listeners understand a little bit more about what your role is at ACI and what ACI's role is in the payments industry.
Yeah, so at ACI, I work in the banking sector of that, as you said, overseeing real-time payments for the Americas. We have done a lot in real-time payments. We currently support 26 real-time domestic schemes around the globe, including 10 central infrastructures, and really have been working in the space for quite some time around the globe on the advancement of real-time payments, and certainly here in the U.S. with the launch of FedNow and, of course, TCH's RTP, doing a lot to help banks connect and see some progress on moving with real-time payments.
That's awesome. You talk about Americas, which is obviously greater than just the U.S., although in the U.S. we like to think about the U.S. as America. As you're starting to see not just in the U.S. but generally globally, ACI being a global company, what are some of the trends you're seeing in terms of real-time payment adoption globally?
Yeah, so we've launched our 5th Primetime for Real-Time report just this last week. And we do a lot of research annually on where we're seeing progress and launch on real-time payments around the globe. This year's report, we had 51 different countries, and we saw a growth to 266 billion real-time transactions, which is a year-over-year growth of about 42% from last year. So that was in 2023. We've seen a lot of growth from a global perspective. And then from a regional perspective, we are doing a deep dive this year for 5 countries where we're seeing advanced use and adoption of real-time payments. So India, Brazil, Indonesia, and a couple of others as well, where they're really making strong progress with the use of that. And something that we're seeing is no secret. We've been quite behind in the U.S. for a while on our real-time payments use, but there's growth there, and we're finding that the reasons for advanced use of real-time payments in other areas of the globe are starting to come to life in the U.S. So right now, we're expecting to probably see about a 31% growth in real-time payments over the next 5 years. And part of that is from driving forces like the advanced use of digital wallets here and really the availability of both rails.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, having spent a lot of time in this real-time payment space, I'm super excited to see the continued growth. I think TCH has been seeing some pretty magnificent growth over the past 2 or 3 quarters with people driving more on the network. Fed just kind of coming to the market in the middle of last year has obviously done a great job of getting financial institutions connected through third parties like ACI. What do you think are some of the keys to driving send-side growth within the U.S. As we've seen them in the overseas?
So ACI supports both connectivity to TCH's RTP and FedNow. We've supported TCH for a long time. I think they were launched around 2017. You'd probably know that better than I. And especially with FedNow as well. We've seen an uptick in both rails, connectivity to both rails with the launch of FedNow back in July. When you start looking at what's driving the connectivity, we really have much more of an understanding in the U.S. within the payments ecosystem of the benefits of real-time payments and the use cases that it can be used for. Sometimes change can be hard when we don't have a reason for change, and so then it's hard to change. Well, through the pandemic, we saw a lot of reasons of needing to move money digitally. And so we saw a lot of digital growth around the digital wallet, around the use of QR codes. But then also from a real-time perspective, we've gotten really comfortable with getting things in real time. I can order something on Amazon and have it to my house 8 hours later with some same-day delivery pieces. And as we're getting more comfortable with those needs and being able to make purchases or other ways of spending money paying bills, being able to do that in a 24/7 environment and seeing that happen with other use cases like using a QR code to pay, like in certain areas of India where you can preload pre-authorized real-time payments and use a QR code to pay a small vendor in the middle of nowhere for food, gives some really unique use cases that are finally kind of resonating with people in the U.S. and understanding the value of that potentially we haven't really seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and especially as we think about corporate payments and driving a greater connection between a financial institution, the technology, and then the technology that their customers use every single day through the use of APIs and other types of embedded capabilities. I think we're going to see a lot more growth once we get to that place, but it still seems like that's somewhat of a little bit of a ways off.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take time to adopt. Brazil has been the outstanding showcase of what true hockey stick growth looks like, right? They launched, it started to take off, and then boom, tons of volume. But with that also came some mandates. And in the U.S., we know that the payment schemes are often not mandated, but it's finding the right benefit for the different use cases. And you talked about B2B a little bit, or alluded to it. And there's a lot more conversation on B2B transactions and the value that a real-time payment can bring to that. We're also very used to it in the P2P aspect with Zelle or PayPal or Venmo experiences, and now being able to include that into the business in those B2B transactions or C2B transactions as well. A lot of opportunity there.
So we're at the Nacha Smarter, Faster Payments Conference. What are some of the topics that you're diving into a little bit more closely?
I get to do a couple of sessions this week, and I'm pretty excited for both of them. One of them will be sitting down with the Fed, the Clearinghouse, and U.S. Bank, and basically asking questions of how it's going, how it's working, trying to uncover the lessons that they've learned for the audience, and helping to make the ability to connect to one or both instant payment rail feel more like a reality and less like this really big challenge in front of banks or credit unions, and kind of hoping to pull out some of those pieces on how to make it more achievable and easier for financial institutions to be able to join. The other session that I'm doing is with a corporate credit union and a banker's bank, and kind of talking about the use cases that they're seeing happen today and what looks at their membership. So it should be really fun to kind of uncover how to connect and then how you're actually using it once connected.
That's awesome. I think being able to bring people together in a situation like a conference and actually having them learn from each other and their specific experiences is probably one of the best ways to actually drive interest and adoption. You talked about the fact that you're talking to multiple folks about whether to connect to FedNow or RTP. For our listeners on this podcast, what would you suggest to them for those who haven't necessarily started their journey? How should they be thinking about the fact that there's two networks? And has ACI done a good job in trying to figure out how to make that a possible or plausible way to connect to both of those networks?
Yeah, we have such an interesting market here. We have over 9,000 financial institutions in the U.S., and having two instant payment rails isn't unique in the U.S. because we have two wire systems. We have multiple, and part of that is a benefit with having so many financial institutions needing to connect. From an ACI perspective, as I said earlier, we've supported both from the beginning, and we really look at that at having a single solution that can help a bank or financial institution connect to both. There are definitely differences in them, and we want to help our customers manage through that, but also figuring out how to make it not so complex to connect to both. How can you use one solution with us and be able to connect to both and service your customers and where their payments need to go depending on where they're sending money to or receiving money from?
That's great. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. You're an esteemed member of the Beer Payments Nerds group, which I am also a proud member of. And we've talked about payments, but I think what folks really want to know is what beer are you enjoying most right now?
Oh, man. It's the change of seasons. I'm Nebraska based, and so we're going through the change of seasons right now from kind of that cold spring weather into the summer. And so it's the beers shift with it when we start drinking poolside beers instead of the winter ones. So right now I'm drinking a lot of Lagunitas beers at home and kind of finishing out some of those pieces before shifting into more of the summer lighter beers.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Bridget, for being on the show. We really appreciate your time, and have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you.